Welcome again. What are we talking about today? We're talking about conflict management. It's a whole different ballgame when you have conflict management, and sometimes some people don't even know how to control their anger. Some people don't even know how to manage conflict. Some people don't even know when the conflict is about to happen. Like, there are signs you see that, okay, this is becoming something you might not be able to handle. But I'm not the one talking here. We have experts in the house.
Healthy conflict management. Couples who go the distance recognize that spousal conflict is inevitable. They know that the secret of their success lies in the way they handle their conflict. This is based on the assumption that people choose how cooperative and how assertive to be in a conflict. It suggests that everyone has preferred ways of responding to conflict, but most of us use all methods under various circumstances. Conflicts arise naturally when human beings interact. Many people associate conflict with anger and hurt feelings, but it does not have to be this way. If you practice healthy ways to handle conflict, the process will build trust and support emotional growth. It is a great skill to learn, and for better or worse. A healthy approach to conflict involves getting out of your brain into the part that allows you to think rationally. A large part of healthy conflict management is the ability to notice your feelings, self-regulate, and make sure you're capable of communicating your needs. Conflict arises from differences, both large and small. It occurs whenever people disagree over their values, motivations, perceptions, ideas, or desires. Think about the opposing needs as that of a toddler and a parent. The child's needs is to explore, so venturing into the street or the cliff edge meets that need. But the parent's need is to protect the child's safety, a need that can only be met by limiting the toddler's exploration. Since these needs are at odds, conflict arises. When you can recognize conflicting needs and are willing to examine them with compassion and understanding, it can lead to creative problem solving, team building, and stronger relationships. So how do you effectively manage conflict so it doesn't turn into combat? Here are 7 steps to help keep conflict healthy and productive. 1. Being assertive is okay. 2. Get to the point. 3. Pay attention to behavior. 4. Replace you language with I language. 5. Focus on the issue, not the person. 6. Paraphrase your statement or argument. And 7. Seek understanding, not agreement.
Welcome back. So, family and values, like you heard from our mini feature, there are steps you can actually manage conflict. And looking at the last steps, the 7 steps that was mentioned in the mini feature, it's something I really have to ask our experts, because from my own end, that's as good as being very difficult, because a lot of people just want to attack, tear, turn down, just be listened to, and not even consider the partner. But first, let me introduce my guest for today. I have, from my left is Abiodun Mabadeja. He's an author, an actor, and a motivator. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be back.
Yes, it's good to be back again. And I must say, we are wearing yellow, so it's a good thing. I said it behind the camera, so I have to say it in front of the camera too. Okay, and I have another guest in the house. This is Joy Wokoro. She's a relationship marriage expert, a counselor, and a coach. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You look
again.
amazing.
Thank you.
I have to ask again, are you taking this top home?
I saw you behind camera.
I'm behind the camera. Okay. All right. I know you can't see her footwear, but of course she's also putting on a yellow footwear. So we're all yellow today. I believe we're all on the same ground. Okay. My first question I'm going to ask first is, yes, I know we have conflict management. I don't want to go through the normal way. Let's take it from the 7 steps. Do you actually think most of the couples today that have conflict, do you think they actually focus on the problem? Because according to that, they said focus on the problem you have and not focus on your partner. Because when you focus on your partner, you want to raise your voice, you want to do a lot of things, disrespect, be abusive or whatever. But if you focus on the problem and say that the problem is what is causing the difference between the both of you, it solves issue. I want to ask you, Joy, how do you think one can easily focus? Because yes, it's a good step, but it's very hard. I know it's hard to focus on the problem than the person. But how best do you think we can go about this?
Okay, so first of all, in trying to get ways to tackle all of these things, it's important that the couples involved first of all understand that conflict is a natural occurrence. In fact, in every marriage, if you don't have conflict, then it could mean that someone is, pretending. Because two human beings raised from two different parents, two different backgrounds, coming in, to say we want to do life together, definitely there will be problems, there'll be issues here and there. However, ultimately, it's about knowing how to tackle these problems. And just like you said, many times we don't focus on the problem, we focus on the person. Why? Because we are humans. Everyone has a weakness, And then I think the problem would be better solved if the people involved in the relationship or marriage can actually focus on the vision they had for the marriage. Or their relationship upon starting.
Okay.
Do you understand? Versus focusing on the person or focusing on the issue on ground. So when you think about, okay, this is where we actually say we're going to be, in future. This is what we are building together. This is where we are headed. Then, you can calm, frail nerves, and then calm down and say, okay, no, we're not headed the right direction. Let's tackle it this way. Let's not tackle it that way. But ultimately, they have got to understand that in looking at the vision, both of them are different personalities entirely. Even in compatibility, there are elements of incompatibility. No human being is 100% compatible with the other. That's why we're humans, So many times when we understand that, okay, even when we say, okay, we came in together, we are compatible, there will be elements of incompatibility. And that's where the friction will come in. That's where the conflict will come in. When you now think about the vision, what did we say we want to achieve, going forward? How did we start? How did we get there, Calm nerves. You now begin to calm yourselves and say, okay, let's look for a solution.
Right. Amazing. Now that brings me, yes, this is a bit away from conflict management, but it's still relating to it. I want to ask you, Abiodun, do you think that when you are incompatible, like she said, when you're incompatible or when you're compatible, do you think those two have any attributes to the reduction of conflict you have in your relationship? Like if you meet a couple that is very compatible, but like you said, they can't be compatible 100%. Do you think that the amount of conflict reduces, or when they are incompatible, the amount of conflict increases or reduces? What's your take on that?
I think it's a straightforward answer. If we are compatible, it naturally reduces the amount of conflicts that we're going to experience. But if we are not compatible, we don't see things from the same standpoint, from the same viewpoint. We are divided. There is division. In fact, they say that division is as a result of division, two visions. I am looking in one direction, you are looking in the other direction. So definitely we are going to have a lot of conflicts. So somebody is saying, let's go to America for holiday. The other person said, no, we have to go to Afghanistan. We have to go.
Who is that person?
So definitely there will be conflict if two people are not compatible. But if there is compatibility, it sure will reduce the level of frictions.
Wow. Now that brings me to the question of what is this compatibility everybody's talking about? I'm saying this from my viewer's point. And obviously, I also want to know. We hear compatibility. Now, from most of what I've heard, a lot of people believe compatibility is when you are a doctor and I own a business. So I'm a business owner, I can be in the house. You're a doctor, you're always very busy. Or they believe incompatibility is when you're a doctor and I'm a banker. We don't have time. We work on Saturdays, or I'm a nurse, you're a doctor, or you're a doctor, I'm a doctor, or a lawyer. There's always this clash of interest. Is that what compatibility is? Because a lot of people still believe that, okay, when it's hot, I'm the person that, when we're outside, I'm the talkative, I talk, I play, I jump around, and he's the always calm person, he's always looking, it's compatibility. Or some people believe that, when I'm outside with my spouse, everybody knows we're outside. That is the compatibility. The energy is the same thing. I'm into entertainment, you're into entertainment. It's compatibility. Can you please just explain in just few words so that people will, I want it to be as simple as possible so that we understand what is compatibility and incompatibility.
Okay, before I answer your question very briefly, contrary to what a lot of people think, they would say opposites attract. When it comes to the issue of love, when you're looking to build a healthy, love life, healthy relationship or marriage, opposites don't attract. you've got to be similar. And that's where compatibility comes in. So compatibility basically is about your core traits and values in life synchronizing. There has to be that synchronization, you know, of both of you saying, okay, my values are similar to yours. What I hold in high esteem is the same thing, or are the very things you hold in high esteem. The things I think, you know, doesn't go down well with me, you know, in terms of values, are the same things that can't go down well.
Can you cite an example so that people really get what it means?
Okay, so take for instance, okay, as a guy, you think typically your woman should, you know, cover up.
Okay.
You know, be all covered up, decently dressed, modestly dressed, you know. But as a lady, you think, I need to like bear it all, show some skin, bear my cleavage, you know, things like that. And your man is telling you, I think naturally, I just like everything covered up. When we go out in public, you know, be modest, prim and proper. And as a lady, you know, so such as little as such things can cause a conflicting, you know, issue. And then, you know, in marriage, when you have a woman who is telling you, maybe after 2-3 kids, is telling you, you know, I'm going somewhere, I'm going to buy something, I'm going to the market, and she's wearing bomb shorts, you know, or what we call hot pants. You know? And the man tells you, how can you have 3 children, you have Peter, Paul, Bukola, and you're going, you know, things like that. So as little and as simple as such things, it means you're not compatible in terms of your value system.
Amazing. So, okay, let's go back to conflict now. Yes, you know, like you said, don't wear bomb shorts, and you are. I didn't say don't wear. No, I'm just saying, like a partner says, don't wear bomb shorts when you're going to the market because you're a mother of 3. Have some respect, have some dignity, you understand? Cover up, like, you know. But let's look at it from the other angle. It now depends on the place of where the man is saying it from and the place of where the woman is looking at it. Now, that is where I feel it's a conflict of interest. The man is looking at it that, we are a mother now, cover up. You know, imagine they will say my wife that's giving birth 3 kids, they saw her in the market with bomb shots. You know, the man is covering trying to avoid that shame, you know, exactly. And the woman on her own end, why she's actually wearing it is probably because she wants to feel good again. She wants to feel that she's still sexy. She
wants to feel hippie.
Hippie. She's still attractive. She's not just a mother. She's not just a wife. She's also her own person. Now, that's a conflict of interest. Now, at that point, how do you think people can actually manage such conflict? I'm just using that as an example, but please, of course, from that you can use it to address other conflicts. So how best?
Yeah, you see, the other time I said that division is as a result of division, 2 visions. One person sees something this way, the other person sees it completely the opposite way. So now, we're talking about conflict management. Now, it's also to an extent different from conflict resolution.
Yes, of course.
So we're talking about management. How can we come to a middle ground? How can we reach a compromise? You see it like this, but I see it like this. How can we come to a point where, okay, we can both agree that at least to this extent it's manageable? So that's why I think people in marriage, for example, marriage now, need to understand that it's not about me. Yes, I'm sure I've said it on this set that marriage is about mutuality, not individuality.
Yes,
now,
I remember.
Individuality in marriage should never take priority over the corporate existence of that marital union. How I want it, how I see it is the way it has to be. No. We have to sit down, discuss it. Fine, you want to wear this, you want to go to the market because you want to feel good with yourself. You are still, you know, 50 but then sexy, which is not bad in itself. But then we have to consider the fact that you are a mother of 3. Your first child is in the university. Imagine if your child meets you in the market like this with her friends.
What if the child is even very happy? Like, I see my mom is on the A game. What happens?
Well, what if her friends don't understand it, that is who the mother is? And then they get back to school and they say, and you're even proud of your mother, dressed like that.
Like that.
So we have to understand that there is a point where both parties have to come together, sit down and discuss where the middle ground is. So what the middle ground is in such a situation for one couple may not be the same for another couple. That is where communication and discussion always must come in.
Okay, I like that part you said. Now we're talking about marriage. let's help the people that are still single and not married, which is relationship, dating, and courtship. How best do you think they have to handle their conflict? Because at this point, this is where a lot of people feel like I'm breaking up with him. He doesn't just get me. He doesn't just understand it. And sometimes I feel like you said, it should just be a thing of managing the conflict. Does not mean you're not compatible, because you cannot let one or two things go. Does not mean that. So now when it comes to relationship, Joy, what best way can singles or people that are engaged, handle their conflict and not say like, I can't marry this person. Is this what the person will be doing in marriage? And honestly, it's not even up to that. So what's your advice?
Okay, so first of all, as singles or as people who are actively, dating and in a relationship, it's important that they understand that every conflict, at every juncture where you have conflict, it's a call for growth. It's a call for growth. So what you do with conflict is what matters.
Okay.
Many times we face, it's like walking, you're like driving, and then you get to a bumpy road. You don't go back because you're on a bumpy road. You slow down, and then you climb the culvert, whatever it is, and then you go past it. So first of all, conflict in every relationship is a call for growth, call to know this person better. Do you understand? Now, coming to when you meet, you're like faced with conflict, and you're like saying, okay, should I end this relationship? Should I not? Now, it all boils down to what type of what type of conflict are you faced with?
Okay.
Is it a conflict that is that can pose a threat or a challenge in future? So is it a red flag conflict?
Or not?
Take for instance, you bump into your man, in the room with another woman.
That's not conflict.
Do you understand?
That's cheating.
Yes, it's cheating.
Yeah,
but cheating leads to conflict.
Okay, of course.
Do you understand?
Okay, yes,
so you guys be like, there's a quarreling. What do you do with Shalewa? What did you do to her? Like that. And there's conflict. So when you even when one party at that point wants for peace, don't just sweep such a conflict under the carpet.
Yeah.
Analyze this conflict. Turn it upside down. You understand? Deal with it. Understand that there are conflicts and there are conflicts. Whether in a relationship, while you're dating or in marriage. It's now, okay, what kind of conflict is this? When we come to the round table to discuss, and we say, okay, we want a way forward, is there likelihood for this conflict to rear its head again?
Okay.
Because ultimately, how you deal with a conflict, how you meet a resolution, will determine the health of your marriage or your relationship. Do you understand? It's like you try to treat type 2 diabetes, and perhaps the person has type 2 diabetes, and you're like just saying, okay, I will abstain from sugar. They've already told you your sugar is high. And you're saying you will abstain from it. But sometimes, you find yourself still eating these things, doing these things, not knowing that, okay, it will still wait for you in the future. Sometimes there'll still be a spike in your sugar level. So it's about analyzing this conflict while you're still single and in a relationship. Is it such a conflict that would mar my relationship? Or will it strengthen my relationship?
Now, I like the example you picked, because that example is happening a whole lot. In fact, like 100% in a lot of relationships, which I think I would like to, buttress on. Now, at that point, they saw Kola with Gechi on the bed.
In the other room.
In the other room. And the girl comes in, I'm like, Kola, what are you doing? And Kola was like, oh, we are not doing anything. Let's just even assume they are not even doing anything. You understand? Just met them, probably cuddling him up or just lying down on the bed, and he's trying to give his excuse of, oh no, she came visiting, she was tired, so that nothing happened, and the other girl's like, for the life of me, why would you even think this? There are other rooms, there are other places you could have, at that point. Now this is a conflict. Now if I look at it, for me, I feel like someone that is doing this, how are you sure the person will not eventually cheat, or he's not liking this person? That's what's coming to my mind. But as an expert, you have the best opinion, I believe. At that situation, what do you think the lady should do to manage that conflict or to avoid such again happening?
Well, the reality remains that every human being is different. How we react to issues, is different. And I can't tell you, okay, don't scream, don't shout. Many times you want to just let off steam.
Yes.
You know, many times crying does not mean you're weak.
Yeah.
You know, it just wells up on your inside and you want to let off steam like that. So at that point in time, if you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. But ultimately, you've got to give a listening ear. Hear this person out. Call out what happened. How did this happen? How did we get here? That's where communication comes in. You can't just throw away a guy or a lady you have found cheating because you met them at that point. You want to listen. And as we say in Nigeria, you want to see finish. See it to the end. And know that eventually when you make your decision, you're not saying, hey, I would have given Kola a listening ear, or I would have heard what Nkechi had to say. Do you understand? Follow it to the logical end. After, after you caught them, if Kola now sends the Shalewa and Nkechi away from your presence and all that. I know someone whose name is Shalewa. She's going to kill me. I hope she's not watching.
Okay.
So, you know, eventually just give a listening ear. Hear him or her out. And then when you get your information, now determine, does it look as if this thing will happen again? Is this a value system problem? Is this a red flag I did not pay attention to? Did I see the handwritings on the wall and did not interpret them well? All of these things. So it's all encompassing. It's not a one-off thing or it's not a straight-jacketed thing. Yes. You know, it's all encompassing. And that's why it's important to be emotionally intelligent when you're in any relationship.
Oh, wow.
You don't go in because you want to just be in a relationship. Be emotionally intelligent.
I love that part. I'm going to say something about emotional intelligence. That's later. But I want to ask you, coming from the man's angle, do you have something to add or subtract from what she said?
There is nothing that happens. Well, something always leads to something. In this situation that we're trying to describe, you have met your guy in the room with another lady. And you want to analyze the situation. I think the starting point is what happened, what led to that. Now, let's take it for example that this is the first time this is happening. So what could have happened? Did I do something wrong? Has he been complaining about something that I have also not addressed, which could have led him to take another woman above me? Because this is, I mean, him bringing another man above you. So is there something I did? You know, so that's part of what she's talking about, analyzing the situation. What led to it? What happened? Why did he decide to do this? Now that he has done it, is it something that he could repeat? Now, if he is not likely to repeat it, and I own up to what I did that led him to do it, perhaps there will be forgiveness, or I admit my fault, and then he admits that he's also wrong. But then again, if you are trying to cover your own faults and say, well, you know, does that give you the right to go and do that? Then you are not one trying to resolve or even manage the conflict. You are in a way. Let me say Yoruba. Let me speak Yoruba.
Of course, yes.
I'll try and interpret in English. You are making the thing to expand. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's what you're
giving him more room.
More room to you know to expand. That's what you are doing. So it's important you look at the root cause.
Wow, which I believe should also be for every conflict.
Definitely.
Looking at the root cause, the problem and not the person. But of course, I want to ask you, Joe, you said something about emotional intelligence, but a lot of people want that. I want someone that's emotionally intelligent, that is sensitive to me, knows when I'm angry, can read in between the lines when I respond this way and when I respond the other way. But I feel like the problem with people that so much want emotional intelligence is that they are not ready for what comes with the emotional intelligence. Because someone that is emotionally intelligent can actually look at you and say, okay, I can't deal with this you are doing, and decides to walk away. And at that point, you're still feeling the person should be emotionally intelligent to know you're not someone that likes a man walking away. He's emotionally intelligent. That is why he's walking away, because he doesn't want to do nasty stuffs to you or say stuffs that will even hurt you. Now, I feel I'm saying this from both a man angle and a woman angle. So if someone is saying, I want someone that is emotionally intelligent, what are the things they need to be prepared to face when they are saying emotion? Because a lot of people, you see them, some people will say, I'm sapiosexual. And sometimes I'll be like, do you even know what sapiosexual is? It's not just being attractive to the person's brain. There are a lot of things. When somebody is so brainy and so smart, you have to sit up, because you might not even get the exact emotions that you want, because they are just too smart for that. So, but what are the things that you feel a spouse should look out for, both in marriage relationship, that they need to look out for when they require that their spouse should have this emotional intelligence?
Okay, so let me say this to answer that question. So you know that this dance they call the tango dance. One person doesn't do the tango dance. You know, it requires two people, two skilled persons to like, you know how to like, do the legs, do the and everything, the whole skills required. Same way, when you say you're emotionally intelligent, you're not saying you have emotional intelligence to now go and date somebody who isn't. You know, you're arming yourself with that skill so that you can spot somebody who is also emotionally intelligent, and you can tell yourself, this is it. You have that eureka moment where you say, oh, this is this person. You know, we can actually gel together. So many times when you have emotional intelligence and you like end up with a person who more like is like the one who's draining you, who is the one at the receiving end, then it probably means you didn't do your homework well. Do you understand? So you arm yourself with that skill just so that you can spot someone or avoid someone who is likely to drain you. So if you find yourself in that relationship where you're the one who has an upper hand and the other person is the one at the receiving end draining you, I mean, there'll be there's bound to be conflict issues.
So is it that it cannot work, such relationships?
Well, many times it may work if one person is sentimental.
Okay.
And so many times we say sentiments are not enough to build a relationship, a healthy relationship. You don't need sentiments. Because if we were to consider sentiment, it would mean that you would fall in love with anybody and everybody at your own expense, at your own happiness. So it's not advised. It's typically advised that if you say you're emotionally intelligent and you've armed yourself with this skill, then it means you're looking out for somebody who is on the same pedestal or a similar pedestal as you, such that you don't go into a relationship and you're like, you're giving everything. It becomes a parasitic relationship. But a healthy relationship is a symbiotic one. You give me, I give you. You know, I may not be giving you intentionally, but I give you because it's my makeup to give. And you give me because you're not saying you're doing me a favor. You give me because it's your makeup to give. So we meet at the middle and then we build a healthy relationship.
Amazing. I really love that. And I think that has cleared the so many doubts in a lot of people's mind about emotional intelligence. Now, I want to ask you, Abiodun, do you think people actually let go? Yes, after the conflict, they talk about it, they manage it, Do you think a whole lot of people, after managing that conflict or, getting to a resolution, do you think they actually let go? Yes, they can forgive, but do you think they let go? And I know it's not easy to even let go, because sometimes you find that when similar stuff happens again, you hear them saying that is how you did it 2 weeks ago. You understand? So is it easy to let go? And if it's not easy to let go, does it mean the person has not forgiven you? And do you think it's going to even harm the relationship the more because you're not letting go?
Yeah, it could, and it, on the other hand, it may also not, depending on the people involved. Now, forgiving is easy, forgetting is not. Yeah, it's easy to forgive. I forgive you. Yeah. But to forget that you hurt me is not so easy. Because anytime anything that looks like the last time that you hurt me comes up, there's a tendency for me to remember that's what you did the last time.
Okay.
It's natural makeup. Now, getting to the point where you forget that somebody hurt you the last time now takes extra effort on your part. You choose to come to that point where even when something happens that look like it, you don't talk about the one that happened the last time. If you have to talk about anything, you address this one. You don't bring up the one that happened the last time. That is an effort that you have to make. But then, can everybody do that? Will everybody be able to do that? That I doubt very strongly. But the more people who can do that, the better for all of us.
Yes, very true, because I know it's very hard to let go. What am I saying? Even I can forgive easily. In fact, once I just tell you, oh, that's cool. But if you come at it again, I'll be like, you did it before, you understand? So it's quite difficult to let go, but it's nice to actually let go. But there's another but to it. If you let go, do you think at that point, the lesson the person is supposed to get from that issue, for every conflict and every resolution you have, there is a lesson. Like you said, there is a growth. Do you think when you eventually forget, you might lose that lesson? You might lose that. You might not lose the growth of, okay, I can deal with it, but you forget the lesson you've learned on the paths to go when it comes to issues like that. Do you think that happens?
Okay, so I'm in a relationship with you. You hurt me so badly, and right now I'm like devastated. But we have come together to like talk, we communicate, you know, and then we're saying let's move on. Despite the pain, I've forgiven you. You know, the time is going on. And I was trying to say, let's it will take you to have taken lessons from that conflict we had, and have begun to make adjustments on yourself, such that I have begun to see changes in you, for you to gradually make me have, you understand, a faint idea of what happened in the past. So with every conflict, when you come back together, you're taking some notches higher, you know. You're like, okay, we were on level 2 when we had issues, you know. Yeah. When we come back together, we are saying, let's just jump to notch, let's get to level 4 together, you know. And then that particular lessons, those growth, those changes we're seeing in ourselves will now eventually cause for me to, like, you know, have a faint idea, you know, as time goes on. I saw something online yesterday, someone posted it. I don't know if you saw it, Sha. I don't know. I don't know what to call that thing. Is it a wind vane or a treadmill? I don't know. Someone poured like a sand or like grain somewhere, and there's this thing that was like, you know, turning those things around. It bore a hole in the let me say sand. Yes, in the sand. But that thing kept going around like a fan, you know, and then over time it filled that hole back again. Wow. You know, with sand. You know, so I want to liken it to what we're saying today now. Okay. You know, so over time, by the time we have our issues, we have screamed, we have shouted, you have said, I'm not doing again, I'm going away, I'm packing away, and eventually you have begged me, or we begged ourselves, we've come back together. It means when we begin to like do things afresh, on a cleaner slate, and I am no longer doing those things to the degree to which you get angry. Over time, I erase that thing off your memory of what I did in the past. Okay. So it's a natural thing. Okay. But if we recall again, if you're doing nothing, we quarreled, we're on level 3. You're doing no changes, you're just on level 3. When I say 1, in fact, you have deteriorated, you're now on level 1 again. I can keep remembering and saying, sure, you've come again. You are doing this thing again. The same thing you are doing again. You know, things like that. So over time, that's why I said, every conflict comes with growth. It's a call for growth. If after a conflict, you and your partner are on the same level you were before, both of you didn't learn anything. You did not learn anything. You know, over time, I'll take me for an instance, you know, even as a marriage counselor, because I'm human. My husband is human. We're not super human.
You don't have superpowers.
We don't have superpowers, you know. When we have our conflicts, we make sure we don't go back to that phase again. Such that, you know, we are now saying, okay, we did this, we did that. Every conflict comes with growth. We look back years, you know, in years to come, we look back at our previous day and say, wow, we learned a lot. So I say that to say that for singles who are in a relationship, it's not just like, you know, you don't just wake up and say, I want to just dabble in a relationship because everybody's doing it, let me do it. There has to be some deliberate steps you're making. There has to be some self-realization
that you have to do.
Understanding that relationship is work.
Of course.
It's work.
It's another work from work.
It's not a work in the park. It's work. So if I'm not ready to put in the work, understanding that when we quarrel, it's normal. It's normal. Even when you're praying for a marriage with a person and you're quarreling with yourselves.
It's very normal. In fact, if the tension will even be higher. So I actually believe that. But Toma, am I wrong? Let me ask. Am I wrong to believe that when you have this constant conflict, it might not be an issue, but you keep having constant conflict, like every maybe 3 days or every 5 days or every 1 week? Do you think that is enough reason for you to say, okay, I think we cannot manage this conflict anymore, I think we should just separate? Or do you think at that point you should sit down, go back to the drawing board and like, okay, what is actually making us have this constant conflict? Like every week or every month, there's always something to fight
over.
about. It's not just an argument. Now, I mean, like you're seriously raising your voice on each other. Yeah, not the ones you disagree and you walk out. No, the serious ones. Do you think it's something?
Now let's look at it from the angle of marriage. Whether we like it or not, it's possible to get to a point where I've had enough. Yeah, people get to that point where no, I can't deal anymore. It's either we go our separate ways so that I can maintain my sanity, or if we want to force this marriage to continue, something might happen. And I think it is such levels that people get to, that you hear that the husband killed the wife or the wife killed the husband. I believe it is such levels they go to, and then rather than admit that we can't continue. We can't do this together anymore, they probably still want to force manage it, and the things that bring the arguments, the conflict, the fight, those things are still there. They have not dealt with those things, and then those things keep coming back, and then in not being able to manage it, emotions rise. Somebody is not seeing something from the other person's perspective. This person is irritating the other person. Nobody apologize and all of that. So it is at those points that you hear those things happen, that this person killed the other person. I think as much as it is not good to encourage people to divorce, as much as it is not, but I will say, when you find out that you get to that point where you are too sure, you are so certain that this is it, I think it is better to walk
away
than to try to force it. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal opinion. I think so.
Okay. Well, that's your personal. Like you said, I actually do not. Yes, I know it's not so okay, but I really prefer the separation to the divorce, because I feel divorce has a lot.
Sometimes separation can work because it allows people to have a rethink. Okay, you go back and then analyze things, and then you realize, oh, this is where I made mistake, and then you can begin to talk, and then you can analyze. Yes, sometimes separation can work, but where that still does not work.
Of course, yes. Like our president would say, let the poor breathe. Okay, to wrap up this section, of course, just one question in few seconds, if not. Anyways, this was it. Is it possible to actually manage conflict anytime it happens without getting frustrated about the relationship? Joy.
Very possible.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
And you not get frustrated.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. But it depends on the kind of conflict like I said earlier.
Yes.
Yeah. What type of conflict are you dealing with? Is it one that's like shaking the foundation of the relationship? Some conflicts are foundational. Foundational in the sense that you probably didn't do your homework before starting. You were just carried away with, let me just get started. The emotional entanglement and everything. Yeah. So if you don't do your homework in such cases, you can face foundational conflicts. But if it's just normal, I don't like how you're talking to me, why did you like that? Things like that. If there are petty conflicts, you can surmount it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any last advice for viewers?
Yes. What I would say is this, just like we have all said here. Always discuss, communicate. If your partner does something to you, see what is done, and to you as bad, and not just that this person is wicked to me.
To you, okay.
So if you take what the person has done as, oh, it is something that happened, this person did this to me, rather than this person is being wicked to me, it will also help you to be softer in your approach at addressing that situation.
Yes, that's very true. Which is also the same thing as facing the problem and
not the person.
No, I mean, Mastasha, you are selfish. You are wicked. No, that's not how to go about it. Anyway, this is all we can take for today. Thank you so much.